Hey, what's up, everybody? The story of Earth, the first 4.5 billion years from stardust to living planet by Robert M. Hazen. Robert Hazen is a mineralogist and astrobiologist. He's the executive director of the Deep Carbon Observatory, and he's written about a dozen books on geology and science in general. Right off the bat, I want to say I really enjoyed reading this book. The story of Earth did the things that I love in a good science book. The story of Earth is about the history of our planet. It begins with the formation of the solar system and Earth and contains major events on Earth from then to now, as well as a look at the future. But besides just the history of the planet, the theme of the book is the sequential nature in which these events took place. He equates it to biological evolution. Since the formation of the Earth, the existence of minerals goes from simplicity to complexity and diversity, just like in evolution. According to the book, the dust and gas which the solar system was formed from only consisted of about a dozen minerals. The rest of the ones found on Earth were made on Earth in a sequence, many of which depend on living creatures. Robert Hazen caught some flack from biologists for using the word evolution, and as a big fan of biology science books and evolution in particular, I can understand why. My take on that is that evolution is already fraught with misinterpretation and confusion, and a lot of work goes into fighting the perpetuation of the confusion surrounding evolution. And the last thing biologists need is a geologist further muddying the waters. That being said, I can also understand why he did choose to go with that word. He's not a biologist, and that fight presumably means less to him, but maybe he is onto something with his theory. In the end, it's just a way of looking at the interactions of the geosphere and the biosphere. The idea is that the planet has been in constant change throughout its entire history, with some periods of relative stasis, and most importantly, it isn't simply a big list of things that happened on our planet. It's things that happened because of other things. Certain things could only have happened as a consequence of other things that happened. As an example, from a mineralogical perspective, two-thirds of the 4,500 known minerals today couldn't have existed prior to the Great Oxidation Event, which is tied to life, and life and geology have an effect on each other. The interplay between life and minerals is a big theme in this book, the coevolution of the geosphere and the biosphere. It's a very interesting way of looking at history. Or, as an example, from a geological perspective, continental granite could not have formed without basalt, which it sits on top of. It's interesting to imagine what the planet would be like without continents. The amount of information packed into this book was incredible. After finishing this book, I feel like I just witnessed the Earth's entire 4.5 billion year history, and it was pretty amazing. Let's take a quick look at each of the chapters. Birth, the formation of the Earth. The Big Thwack, the formation of the Moon. Black Earth, the first basalt crust. Blue Earth, the formation of the oceans. Living Earth, the origin of life. Red Earth, photosynthesis and the Great Oxidation Event. The Boring Billion, the Mineral Revolution. White Earth, the snowball and hothouse cycles. Green Earth, the rise of the terrestrial biosphere. And the future, scenarios of a changing planet. And a nice epilogue to wrap things up. So you learn about each of these periods, what caused them, what defines them, and what the Earth was like during them. And we see how details of each period can be contingent upon the details of the preceding period. There's a lot of chemistry and somewhat complicated concepts in this book, but you don't really need any prerequisite knowledge to understand it. The author does a very good job of helping the reader to understand the concepts he's writing about, so anyone can read this book. Now, I've found this entire book very interesting, but I want to point out a couple of things that I feel really made this book extra special. One, this book gives you so many fascinating topics to look up. I don't don't think I've looked up as many things while reading a book as I have for the story of Earth. Besides just reading the book, I must have spent an additional 10 hours just looking up articles and videos on some of the concepts, the time periods, and the life forms and events in this book. The book is just under 300 pages, but the amount of information in it will give you a lot to think about, and you may find many other avenues of study from this book that interest you, especially if you're like me and you've never read a book like this before. This was my first geology book, and I feel like I opened a door to an entirely new world, and it's pretty awesome. Actually, this book was a nice mix of geology and biology, but it really made me want to go digging for fossils. I even ordered a trilobite fossil while reading this. The second thing I really loved about this book was the perspective that it gives you. This book will help you to step away from the anthropocentric view and see our planet more objectively. Not even just our planet, but any planet. Sometimes it seems like we think we own the Earth, but look at the time humans have been around on this planet. Even the dinosaurs, who, by the way, were here first, only occupied the Earth for a tiny fraction of history, and they lived on this world for about 165 million years. Modern Homo sapiens have been here, 200,000 years? 200,000 out of 4.5 billion. And with or without us, the Earth is going to continue to evolve and change. Runaway feedback loops will continue to shape the surface of the planet for billions of years. The seas will continue to rise and fall as the snowball hothouse cycles carry on. The convection currents within the Earth's mantle will continue to facilitate plate tectonics and reshape the face of the planet. The oxygen and CO2 levels will fluctuate. The occasional asteroid impact will occur, and the sun will eventually expend its fuel, all without concern for how humans or any other life form feels about it. This is one of those books that I feel everyone should read. Even if you don't like his ideas about looking at the relationship between the biosphere and the geosphere, this is just a solid and fascinating history book. I think it's good to have a view of things for what they are or were rather than how they immediately affect us. After all, we do all live on this planet, so it's nice to understand something about its history, and it really is quite fascinating. Okay, that's it for this one, guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any interest in history, the Earth, in primeval and historical life, in geological processes or mineralogy, check out The Story of Earth by Robert B. Hazen.